All right, it's time for our second part of kind of this little series I've been doing, how to launch your doTERRA business, maybe in a little bit of a different way than you experienced it in the past, or you're ready to just get started for the first time and you're like, hey, I don't know what's up and I want to learn how to actually launch my business. So, hello. And the first thing I'm going to say, and this was like totally unprompted, but I feel like if you are here, if you have made it through like my comp plan update video, my sacred alignment, sacred flow in your business video, and now you're coming on to this one, you're probably pretty darn serious about like, hey, it's time for me to either get my butt back in gear with my doTERRA business, look at it a different way, shift my perspective, or to just do that thing that I've been feeling that I need to do. So we're going to talk real talk because that's what I am all about. I'm not going to sugarcoat things, and real talk is where it's at. So the last couple of weeks, I've just kind of been like, whew, I launched you guys last week and I started the video. And ever since then, I've been like, oh, I'm just not in the mood to do the second video. I know I need to do it. I was waiting for my hair to be perfect, everything. And then today I was like, no, I have some thoughts on my head and on my head. I have some thoughts on my heart and in my head that I need to get out to you, and I'm just going to do it. So my first invitation to you to think about as we head into this and maybe into this video or just whatever your endeavor is right now is it's time to just do it messy. And that is my theme this week, is that we need to stop allowing this perfectionism and waiting for the exact perfect time to share doTERRA or the exact perfect whatever to do the video or do the live feed on Facebook or go for the walk or take our supplements or start our healthy eating. Like, we all get so stuck in our heads in this like analysis paralysis is what I call it, of like everything has to be so darn perfect, like Instagram worthy, that we don't just do the thing. And the reality is your dreams are asking you to show up as only you can show up. And I'm going to tell you right now, as we go into 2025, people want the real you. They don't want the fake version. They don't want the facade. They don't want everything to be perfect, because the reality is it's never going to be perfect. And I sent some messages out to some of you that might be watching this video, and I was like, hey, like, you were a member of our community a while ago, and I just, like, how are you doing? Like, what's going on? Do you want to still share doTERRA? Like, I don't want to bug you, but I want to know. And if you said no, like, why? Like, what got in your way? And for most of us, the majority of us, is that life has just gotten life, which is life, right? And we feel it's too heavy and we feel like we can't have the capacity for one more thing. And maybe you can't, maybe that's where you're at. But for the majority of us, we're just hiding back here in this like little space of comfort. And we know we need to step forward, but we're not sure how to do it. And we wait for these perfect moments. And some of you needed that message. Whoever's watching this, some of you needed that message. Like, let's do it messy. Let's do it imperfect, and let's allow ourselves to be seen and share doTERRA in the way that lights up our hearts. Okay? So, with that being said, here I am with my laundry hanging in the background, my shoes on the floor, and whatever, here we are. And today I want to talk a little bit more about this whole process. Like the last time I went through this funnel, right? Your sales funnel is that you're inviting people, you're seeking openness, you're always inviting them to see if they're open to learning about natural forms of healthcare. And then we're inviting them to some kind of an event. And once we invite them to some kind of event, we're going to move them through asking them, are you curious to learn about essential oils? And are you curious to bring these into your home? And then we're going to step into that support. And we've got some of people will be our VIP customers. Some people won't. And we really need to get to this invitation part, because the invitation, that initial invitation to see if somebody is open, is a really important piece. Because if we never invite anybody into our funnel, we're never going to actually make money, right? We're never actually going to serve people with these beautiful gifts called doTERRA. So we have to figure out, okay, how are we going to invite? And I think sometimes, like, as I was looking back and kind of reviewing some things and trying to figure out how to launch these videos to you, I was like, we kind of like, we start to invite, but we kind of forget that we're inviting to some kind of event to learn. And if we don't know what that event to learn is, if we don't have clarity, like the 3 C's, clarity, confidence, and certainty. If we don't have clarity and certainty and confidence around what we're inviting to, how are we gonna invite? Or maybe we're inviting people to something that we're like, this doesn't interest us at all. Like maybe your jam is not essential oils and cats and dogs, and you think you have to invite people to a cats and dogs event. Like that's not gonna work. It's not in your wheelhouse. It's not, it doesn't feel right. It feels funky. You're like, I don't know anything about cats and dogs. Like I can't stand hair all over myself and I don't like cats. But I'm inviting to this cat event. Now that's a kind of an extreme example, but it's an example. Or maybe your demographic, your like when you put together the people you think would be really benefit from essential oils, you are like it's your demographic is, say it's women over 50, and the class you're inviting to is babies and kids or pregnancy and birth. Do you see how that's out of alignment? If your audience, like you're teaching on something that your audience isn't aligned with, or you're primarily focused in on um homeschool moms, maybe you're focused, you love, you're like that is your passion, and homeschool moms are your passion, but yet you're inviting to things that are like at 10 o'clock in the morning when those homeschool moms are really busy and it's not working. So that my point is with this is we need to make sure that we understand the event we're inviting for. And that's what I want to talk about today, is because we're not going to worry about the invitation yet. That's going to be the next class I do, the next little video I do. We're going to focus in on what are we actually inviting to, right? We want them to come and learn more, but what kind of learn more are we inviting people to? Because if we know what we're inviting to and it's something that lights us up and it's something that we're confident in, do you see how your invitation is going to be like more like, oh my gosh, you got to come to this event. You have to come to this. Like next week, I am giving a workshop on hormones. I love talking to women about hormones. I absolutely love it. So before I started inviting, like I knew, like I was doing a workshop on hormones. Who are my demographic? Who am I inviting to this? And now I can be like, oh, super confident about who I'm inviting to. And I can go out and I can create a list based on that event. And I might have a babies and kids event. I'm not going to be inviting 50-plus-year-old women that are dealing with their hormones to a babies and kids event. I'm going to find women that are in my niece's demographic. She might be watching this. Hi. Where she's like, I'm in the, like I've got babies. I'm gonna have a class on babies and kids because that's how I have the most confidence in the event that I'm inviting to, and that's what lights me up. So before we go into this inviting, I want you to take the time this week to figure out your events. What are you inviting to? And there's lots of different kinds of events we can invite to. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the types of events we can invite to. It can be an in-person workshop, right? That's an option. That's how most of you got started in doTERRA, is you came to an in-person workshop where we invited some people over. Maybe it was a big event, maybe it was a small event. So an in-person workshop is a great way, a great place to start with inviting. It's a great event to have. And in-person workshops can be on any topic. Like last week I helped a girl lunch, and she was like, she's having amazing results with the foundational wellness products, the VMG, the Omega, and the probiotics. And so she wanted her workshop to be primarily about the foundational wellness bundle, because that's what has her lit up right now. That's where she is having her biggest testimonials. That's what she's most excited about. And her friends and family know some of the health issues she has struggled with. So when she says, hey, I found a solution, I want you to come, it gives more credibility, that those 3 C's, the confidence, clarity, credibility, all of that fun stuff. I don't even know what the 3 C's are today. Like we're not going to worry about that, but you get my point, right? And so she was able to invite to that event with confidence because she knew, she was like fired up about that. Now, 10 years ago, I might have said, well, the only way we're going to host a class is we're going to have an essential 101 workshop. Not everybody, like people today, they want to know they're coming to something that is going to address the concern that they have at the forefront of their mind. Right? And so this is why it's so important for you to figure out your events. And so first step, okay, is the types of events. We can do the in-person workshop. We can do a one-on-one. An event might be that you've got some spare time and you like to meet with people one-on-one. And if you're not confident in meeting people one-on-one, maybe you're going to meet with like your upline. So say that you're like local to me and you want to learn how, and you've got somebody that's really interested in the hormones. You can invite them to my event. Okay. You can invite them to my event. Or you could say, hey, Katie, can you meet with this person with me? And we could meet in person. And if you're not local to me, guess what? We've got things called Zoom, and I can help you, and I can help you educate, or your upline can help you educate on a topic maybe you're not familiar with. Okay. So, but for most of you, you're passionate on something. Okay. That in person event, it doesn't have to be necessarily a workshop that's full of information. Actually, less is more right now. Last week when we hosted her workshop, we let people try the VMG. We talked about the VMG. I talked a little bit about oils. We wrapped up the class. She had 3 enrollments so far. So great, right? Because we worked with something she was passionate about. Maybe your event is that you're inviting to an online class. That's another way to have an event that I would teach for you. You would set up all the details, you would invite, I can teach it for you, your uplines can teach it for you. That's another way that we can create an event that you're inviting to, right? It's something that you're passionate about, you're confident about, and you're excited about. Another thing is maybe we're just inviting them to watch a video. Maybe there's a recorded class and you're like, hey, do you want to watch this video? There's another piece. Maybe you have a busy mom and she's like, I don't have time to come to a class. I don't have time to meet for a one-on-one. I've got a lot going on, but it doesn't mean I'm not interested in this information. Maybe we send them some email drips. Maybe we send them a couple of emails with information where they can explore it at their own time when their kiddos go to bed at night or when they're rocking their baby in the middle of the day. That's how I learned about essential oils. I got started with essential oils when I was breastfeeding, and every time, I sat in my breastfeeding chair a lot, right? So every time I sat in my breastfeeding chair, I would go and I would learn about essential oils. I would look in the groups, the Facebook groups and things like that. And that's how I expanded my knowledge on babies and kids. Right? I didn't really look at all the other information, but that's how I learned how to help all you is I spent time in these groups while I was rocking my baby. So there's a lot of people. I have one lady, she's like, a lot of my people are CEOs, executives. They don't have time to come to a class. They have time at 10 o'clock at night to watch a 20-minute video or click a link, right? We live in a different world right now. So maybe your event is that, and don't worry, I have a completely awesome option that I'll talk about in 2 weeks. And we're going to do like an entire team training on it because it's rocking my world, how amazing it is. And it's absolutely free. Okay. So knowing what lights you up. So first we have these events, right? We have the in-person classes, the one-on-ones, the 3-way text messaging. We have all of these ways in which we can have the events. So and every single person that you're working with might have it a little bit differently. And maybe you're in a season of life where you're like, Katie, I just can't teach classes at night. I teach maybe 2 or 3 classes a month. That's it. Everything else is done online and with links, right? It's not the other person's job to only do like you are like. One of the things my husband was reminding me of the other day, we're shopping for a new car, a new vehicle. And we were going to this dealership and he had like a time frame that we needed to be there because of the car I wanted to look at. And my husband's like, you have to read, like I was like getting antsy because he's like taking his time and driving slow and needs to go on a tour of, I don't know what, the parking lot. I don't know. And he's like, you have to remember this guy works for you. You don't work for this guy. This guy works for you. He is the salesman. He is the one getting the commissions. He works for you. Same way, you work for your customers, not the opposite way. So you learning about all of these events and learning like kind of like the airline stewardess when she's like, hey, would you like something to drink? And she gives you the entire menu of options. I want you to think of your business like that and these events like that. So if you're like, you can only learn on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. if you come to this address, you're probably not going to be able to have a never-ending lead flow and you're not going to walk people through your funnel. Can't sugarcoat that shit. But if you're like, are you open to learn? Say, I have a class that I think would be really interesting. Would that work for you? And if they say no, say, would you like me to send you an online option? Or would you like me to send you a link to learn more about this? You're giving them options. You work for them, not the other way around. And sometimes we have to remember that, like, you're the one that's going to receive the commission. You're the one that wants the $500 check. You're the one that loves sharing the options with people. So know what your options are, okay? Come up with your smorgasbord of options. So that's the first thing I want you to do is kind of know, I kind of think I could do a class once a week. What time works best for you? Um, and maybe you just want to host an event. Maybe you're like, I'm kind of going toward the one-on-one. Maybe it's a combination. What's your combination? For me, it's a combination of the in-person classes is always an option. It's not one I advertise a lot, but for me, it's usually one-on-ones, either in person or online. Links are the two. And so online workshop, and then so one-on-ones, online workshops that people can watch live or later on, and links that I just send people, right? If they can't come, I always have that option. So I have three options really for people: one-on-one, online workshops that they can watch later or live, and number three is just links that I can send them that they can learn more information, right? Small videos, things like that. And that's the program I'm going to teach you. So I have three options. Now, the next step is we understand the options. What are the topics that I love to talk about? Where do I feel most confident in the products and the products that I have? Like, what is your demographic? If you have these people that you're inviting, what are you most impassioned about? So we can get that invitation aligned with what we want to talk about. I love talking about women's hormones. I love talking about foundational wellness. They're kind of one and the same. I love talking about emotions and essential oils, right? Because I believe that the emotions are a big piece of our healing just as much as the physical. So I want to teach people how to blend the two. Those are the things I love to talk about. I'm only talking about the things I love. I am not going to teach a class on horses. I know you can use essential oils on horses. I could probably figure out how to teach the class, but I'm not going to teach a class on essential oils and horses. Amanda might, or Dana might teach us a class on dogs, or somebody might teach a class on babies and kids. Like, I could teach the babies and kids class because I've been through that season of my life. I think you get my point, right? So before we start to invite people, I want you to get really clear on what are you inviting to? What are your events? What are your options? And what are you most passionate about talking to that gives you that confidence? Like, what products are you having great experiences right now? What are those products? And then the next time we're talking about invite, okay? And how do we build curiosity to invite somebody to our classes, right? This is going to be the main piece, right? And we are connecting people, because once we have the event and we're really excited about this event, then we can connect them to the product, right? But if they come to an event that you're not passionate about, you're not confident in, you don't have clarity on, and then we're like, hey, do you want to purchase these products that we're not even sure why you would use? Like, do you see, like, people feel your energy, right? They feel your confidence. And a lot of times they're not even understanding what's coming out of your mouth. It's the confidence, right? People will remember maybe 7 to 10% of what you say. 90%, like, they remember how you make them feel. So if you're like super confident, they're like, oh my gosh, I have to have that product in my home, because you're confident in it. You have clarity in it. When you were doing, so if you would, like, I'm going to give you an example. You go and start, you're like, oh, got this names list. Katie told me to write a names list. No, I didn't. So start thinking of people. I haven't told you to write a names list yet. Have I? Maybe I did in the last call. I don't think I did. So I got my names list, whatever. No, figure out what you're inviting to first. Because if I go out and I start just like having my names list and I'm like, hey, are you open in natural forms of healthcare? They're going to be like, what? And you're like, hey, just curious. Do you like to learn about doTERRA essential oils? It's probably not going to go very far. And they're like, sure. If they said, sure, yeah, what do you got? And you're like, well, one day I might do an event. Who do you purchase from? The person that's confident, the person that checks in on you, the person that nurtures the relationship with you and allows you to make the decision, not them. I just can feel the wheels are turning on some of your heads right now. You're like, ooh, I like what she's saying. Okay, so this week, I want you to think about, what events do you have, right? Do you like the online version? Do you like the one-on-one version? Do you want to host some classes? Where are you at right now? What, like, and don't tell me, like, don't write down on your piece of paper what you think I want to hear or what you think you should do to be a good little doTERRA builder. I want you to write down what really works for your life. If you're like, I might have time twice a week for a one-on-one and then I just want to send people links, let's do it. As long as you're confident in those things. If they're like, I want to do 10 one-on-ones a week, but you only have time to do one, it's not going to work. I want you to be realistic with yourself, and I really want you to think about this. How do you want to build doTERRA? How do you want to do it? How do you want to share with people? What events do you want to have access to? And what do you want to talk about? What lights you up? What are you having great experiences with now? And I want you to write those two lists out and then get ready for the next one because it's going to be all about inviting. And make sure, like, I'm going to be posting this in a couple of areas. So if you have the comments, you can put it in the comments. But also I would like you to message it to me. Tell me what you came up with or comment on the Facebook group and let's have some fun with this. Okay. So remember, we're getting really super clear. We're going to do action is messy, right? It's not going to be perfect. We're going to get clear on the event we're inviting to, and we are going to, the events we're inviting to, and we're going to get clear on what we want to talk to people about. Like, what do we want to really focus in on? Those are the 3 things I want you to do for this week and report back because I cannot wait to see us all just have fun doing this and, all the things. So reach out if you have any questions. Bye.